All right. Hello, YouTubers. Hello. How we doing? Let me get TikTok. I took my glasses off too soon since I've got to set TikTok up. Hang on here. Hello, all. Hang on here. Oops. What is this doing? Oop, TikTok's freezing on me almost. That's not good. All right. I can try that one. Why not? All right. TikTok is going live. Excellent. I need a haircut. Boom. Excellent, Smithers. All right. We are good. Move TikTok back a little. There we go. TikTok's in a better position. YouTube, Discord, TikTok. Hello, all. Hello from Nova. Hello from DC. Hey, Flamingo. Thank you for the gift. Hello, everybody. John Aravosis here. Welcome to Fantasy Island. So how's it going, guys? We've got a decent amount of news today. YouTube looks like it's behaving, so I'm not gonna shrink my thing. Yes, this is a mug one of you got. I can't remember who it was. One of my viewers from Michigan sent me this Duluth mug. That's really it's kitschy a little bit, which I like. It's a little bit kitschy. It's very thick. It's like a very heavy mug too, which is nice. But I like it. It's very cute. Sasha did okay. She actually calmed down after the show, which is good. I had to give her the little pill to calm her, but she ended up doing okay, which I was surprised. So that was normally she doesn't really calm down that quickly. So she did, which was a good thing. Ooh, I went to the doctor for my hand update today. The hand is doing well. I do not need to do physical therapy, thank God, because I told him, I said, I really don't want to do physical therapy. I said, I don't believe in physical therapy. You sit there. I said, they go have a beer for 15 minutes while you go like this. I said, unless you're telling me I have to, I don't want to. He goes, you don't have to do it. I said, okay. I think physical therapy for the hand stuff, I'm guessing, is probably people who just don't do their exercises. And I've been doing them 2 or 3 times a day, which is what he told me to do. But I think for people who don't, they need physical therapy. So anyway, so my finger still not like, I have not done the exercise since this morning. I can't straighten my finger up and I can't get it below this. I can. It then requires me to kind of go, ow, which I'll do later. I can do it, but I've got to there we go. Straighten. Ay. It hurts. I had surgery for trigger finger a couple weeks ago, but it's doing okay. In any case, welcome, guys. So we've got there's a lot of news today, a decent amount of news today. Thank you, Brett. Good news, really. Decent amount of good. I say good, relatively, but not the worst thing. Anyway, so hey, thank you, James. Thank you, Brett. So anyway, let's get rolling here. So welcome, guys. I'm John Aravosis. This is my show. We talk about the latest news from Washington, where I live. I'm a longtime political guy, journalist, activist in some ways, lawyer, politician. Maybe not politician, but political guy. Worked in the United States Senate, among other places. And I am here to explain what's going on in the news to you. Hopefully give you an insider's perspective. We'll start with the Washington news, then we'll do an update on the war in Ukraine. Let's get rolling. As always, I ask you guys, if you can afford it, to give gifts on TikTok and YouTube, because I do this for a living, and your gifts help pay the bills. So if you can, I appreciate it. Thank you, Real Life, by the way, Big Hawk and others, Stephen. Let's get rolling. So, Saturday morning. Saturday morning is our coffee talk. Thank you, Joshua. Real Life, Brett. Saturday morning, I do a show just for the monthly subscribers. Oh, very nice. Who did the Marsha? Thank you, Marsha, for the fireworks. I do a show for the monthly subscribers as a thank you. Saturday morning, 11 a.m. It's a hangout. I don't really prepare the news like I do. Today I've got not a script, but the news prepared. I don't do that for Saturday. Saturday is your chance just to hang with me, and we talk, and it's fun, and we talk about whatever we want. But that's Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, U.S. So please join us for that. Thank you, Lupo. Grazie for the galaxy. Galaxia, forse? Non so. So join us Saturday morning. Let's get rolling. So a federal judge, lots of gifts. Okay, thank you. Got lots of gifts coming in on TikTok now. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Games Master. A federal judge today blocked the Trump administration from enforcing the executive order ending birthright citizenship after certifying a lawsuit as a class action, effectively the only way he could impose a nationwide stop on Trump's effort. Now, just to remind folks, thank you, Maluda. Birthright citizenship is something we have in America. A number of countries do, but not every country. Greece actually does not. I learned applying for my Greek citizenship. But birthright citizenship means if you are born on U.S. soil, you immediately become an American citizen. Well, imagine what that means for immigration purposes. If somebody comes here illegally, they have a child, the child becomes an American. If people are here as tourists, if people are here for school, well, Trump is trying to stop it. The problem is it's in the U.S. Constitution. So it's not really clear how that works, right? It's not really clear how that works as far as how he stops it if it's in the Constitution. But Trump, what he's trying to stop is people who are here illegally from having their children become Americans just from being born here. And I was surprised when I read this. People born to academics here on student visas. If you're here on a student visa and you have a child, he doesn't want the child to be American. You know, I mean, whatever. But the judge was able to put a stop to it. Let's see on appeal if this works. Thank you, Games Master. Remember what the Supreme Court did the other day? They made it much more difficult for judges to freeze Trump from doing his policies pending the lawsuits. The idea is, if you're suing Trump for, let's say birthright citizenship, if you're suing him on this policy and you're either going to get a restraining order, injunction, whatever, but you're trying to get the judge to stop Trump from doing this. Typically, if you're able to prove a couple different things, and from what I mean, I'm a lawyer, but I don't practice, but from what I recall, you've got to prove that it looks like you just might win, right? So that your case has merit, not like you're just doing it. But if it looks like your case has merit, you might just win. Thank you, Adventures. Very nice gift there. And you're able to prove irrevocable harm. You can get an injunction or a temporary restraining order, meaning the judge will stop Trump from doing the policy pending the lawsuit. The idea is that in principle, you shouldn't be able to tell Trump to stop until you win the case. I mean, that makes sense, right? If you win the case against Trump, the Trump says, okay, Trump, you lose, stop doing this policy. Well, some policies would be so dangerous or so harmful that you can't wait to have the case judged. That's when you do a restraining order or a temporary injunction or whatever. Thank you, Big Hawk, Marsha. So the idea is that the judge looks at the case and says, okay, do I think you just might win? Yes. Do I think the harm is so great in this policy that if I rule 3 months from now that Trump was wrong, will he have committed so much damage that there's no way to rectify the damage he's done? If the answer is yes, then the judge might put a restraining order on Trump and stop him from doing the policy pending the lawsuit, pending the disposition of the lawsuit. Well, the Supreme Court a couple of weeks ago said no. Actually, was it maybe even a week and a half ago? Said no. It has to be much more difficult for courts to be able to stop Trump's policies pending the outcome. In other words, for an injunction. But what the court did say was, for a class action lawsuit, they would have a better chance at basically stopping it nationwide, because a class action lawsuit basically means you're not just representing me. You're representing, I'm in Washington, you're in Chicago, you're in Los Angeles, you're in New York. You're representing a class of people that are being impacted nationwide. So therefore, you could put an injunction nationwide because it's nationwide that people are being hurt. So let's see what happens. This could get overturned on appeal, but it's going to be the first test of the Supreme Court case from a couple weeks ago that made it very difficult for judges to stop Trump from doing what he's doing temporarily pending the outcome of the cases. Trump is going to Scotland this month. I thought Callum would like that if he's here today. The British Prime Minister has reportedly accepted an invitation to visit Donald Trump during his Scotland visit. Columbia University alumnus Mahmoud Khalil filed a claim against the Trump administration on Thursday, seeking $20 million in damages for the harm caused by what his lawyers called a politically motivated arrest and detention. The legal U.S. resident was released from federal immigration detention last month after being held more than 100 days without being charged with a crime. This is an interesting case, okay? He's one of the leaders of the Palestinian protests at Columbia. And the Trump people didn't like it, and they're trying to deport him. Now, again, I mean, I'm a lawyer. It depends what the law says. I don't know whether you can simply deport a foreigner because he's protesting and you don't like his protest. Now, what the Trump people, I believe, were trying to claim, thank you for the Elton John glasses, Tarad. Thank you, Laddie, as well. What the Trump people were trying to claim, or Trump is trying to claim, is that, oh no, he's not just supporting the protests, organizing them, he's supporting Hamas, a known terrorist group, so he's giving support to terrorists, and that's a violation of U.S. law, which it very well might be. It's kind of stretching it, but it still might be a violation of U.S. law. Well, the problem is, and this is where it gets interesting, even if Trump is correct that that he can deport this guy for being a Palestinian protest leader, if in fact he had said things in favor of Hamas, let's pretend the law, unfortunately, allows us to deport the guy. Okay, let's pretend. Can you throw him in jail for 100 days in prison without charging him? That, to me, sounds like a civil rights violation. That, to me, sounds like habeas corpus violation, actually, a constitutional violation, where basically, if you have a right to a speedy trial in America, you have a right to be basically charged or released. So it's like both. It's a speedy trial, but it's also the right to be charged or released. They can't just pick you up off the street and lock you up like you're a terrorist or something in Guantanamo Bay. Thank you, Fallen. Thank you, Fallen, again. So that's what gets interesting with this case. Now, whether or not you can sue the federal government is always a tricky thing. Keep in mind the Supreme Court. I wonder about the recent Supreme Court case and whether it affects torts in this case. I know the Supreme Court case affected crimes, as far as saying the president was not, basically making it much harder to hold Trump and his cohorts responsible for crimes they commit. I don't know if the Supreme Court limited whether they can be sued for torts, which basically means like this, where it's not a crime that you did, but you did, you violated my rights, basically. You harmed me. But I will say, 100 days in prison without being charged with a crime is pretty bad. I mean, it's what I mean. And I'm saying that as a lawyer, what I mean is that seems unreasonable to me. That's sort of one of the standards you look at in the law, is the reasonableness. Is what the government did the way they normally do things? Is it reasonable in terms of the workload they have? Is this typical? Or were they basically punishing this person illegally? And there's a decent argument they were punishing him illegally. So this will be a very interesting case to watch. Ukraine. So we actually have a decent amount of Ukraine news today. Trump is sending more weapons to Ukraine. It may only be $300 million, which is not nothing. What's interesting this time is Trump is using the presidential drawdown authority. Thank you, Bowie. And thank you, Eslyn, as well. This is the authority that Biden was using, where basically Congress said, okay, certain amount of weapons you're allowed to send, and you can draw down from American weapons stocks. So you can draw down from the American stockpile and send to Ukraine. Trump hasn't done that yet. This is the first time he's done it. Now, what's going on, and this is very interesting, is Vladimir Putin has been basically testing Donald Trump. Who is that? Succeed. Thank you, Succeed, for the travel gift. Very cool. And thank you, Terry, as well, for the bubbles. Putin's been testing Trump. Thank you, Tarad. This week alone, Putin has been blowing the hell out of Ukraine. The other night you guys were saying like 750 drones or something. I mean, even last night was pretty bad, but 750 drones, lots of missiles. It seems that Trump has, in response to Trump publicly calling on Putin to basically negotiate, reach a deal, and at the same time, Trump publicly questioning Putin and criticizing Putin and saying, he's killing a lot of people, he's doing bad things. The other day, Trump said something to the effect of, he acts very nice, but he's not, basically. And I mean, again, we're kind of all sitting here going, no shit, really? You just figured out Putin acts nice, but isn't? And not to mention, he doesn't act nice at all. But what's interesting here is, as Trump has been increasing his criticism of Putin and saying he wants Putin to negotiate with Ukraine, Putin has been blowing the crap out of Ukraine more and more and more, which is basically Putin's way of saying, screw you, Donald Trump. Trump is now responding by giving more weapons to Ukraine. Trump had said during the presidential campaign that if Putin did not come to the table, he would give Ukraine a lot more weapons. He also said that if Ukraine wasn't willing to come to the table, he would cut off weapons to Ukraine. He then cut weapons off to Ukraine last week anyway, a large number of weapons, and then reversed himself taco style 2 days ago. So this is very interesting that Trump is now giving more weapons to Ukraine. It's very interesting that Trump is, for the first time, using this presidential drawdown authority, which is the one Biden routinely used to give weapons to Ukraine. 300 million is okay. It's not great. It's okay. But it's very interesting. It includes Patriot missiles and medium-range rockets, which is what Ukraine needs to stop the Russian advances. Taco Thursday, in fact, today. So it's interesting. It's useful. I mean, this is, but having said that, this is a good thing. So, see where it goes. Secretary of State Rubio met with Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov at the ASEAN summit in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia in the last day. Rubio said he discussed a new and different approach to ending the war in Ukraine. He said, I wouldn't characterize it as something that guarantees peace, but it's a concept. Oh, God, a concept. Don't say the word concept with these people. It's a concept that, that I'll take back to oh, God. Listen to this quote. This is our Secretary of State, folks. I wouldn't characterize it as something that guarantees peace, but it's a concept that, that I'll take back to the president. Okay. I mean, it doesn't guarantee peace, so it's not a peace proposal, but it's a concept that I'll take back to the president. It's a concept of a proposal. It's not a peace proposal. It's a concept of a proposal. Okay. At least 2 people were killed and 25 injured in Kyiv overnight as Russia launched a mass attack against Ukraine for the second night in a row. Russian forces launched 397 drones against Ukraine overnight, with almost 200 of them being the Shahed-type kamikaze drones, and the rest decoys used to overwhelm Ukrainian air defenses. The Economist, this was actually very interesting from The Economist magazine I used to write for. The Economist says Russia has had as many as 1.3 million casualties in Ukraine. New data from The Economist shows that since the invasion began, between 900,000 and 1.3 million Russian troops have been killed or wounded. That includes as many as 350,000 deaths. 350,000 Russian killed in 3 years of war. That is a horrific number. Keep in mind, Afghanistan, 14,500 Russians were killed, and it was enough to bring down the Soviet Union, or to help bring down the Soviet Union. Afghanistan, 10 years. They lost 14,500 men, and that was considered a disaster. 350,000 deaths among the Russians. This is insane. Okay, you know what? I noticed, I'm going to turn it down. I noticed the same thing. Sorry, but somebody, Charles, you're not wrong. I noticed the microphone getting louder recently, and I have no idea why, but I just noticed it myself. I'm wondering, you know what, actually? Hang on a second. Let me test something really quick. As I'm talking, tell me if this changes the volume. Hang on a sec. I'm going to put the mic all the way up here. Did the mic volume go down a lot? And now I'm going up high again. High, high, high. Now I'm going low again. Low, 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 low. Is the microphone modulating or not? Now it's on low. Anybody? Or can you not even hear me? It is modulating. Oh, it is modulating. It's not. Okay. Yes and no, and the same is not. Okay, no. All right, let me go back. Let me try this one. Now, if I change this, is it changing? This is the same? Okay, this is not changing. All right. So I'm turning this all the way down. All right. You know what? Yes and no. I don't know how. Actually, people who are regulars weigh in, because this isn't helpful. I don't understand why people are saying this is changing or not. I don't care if it's better or worse. I need to know if it's going down. It's not changing. All right. It's not changing. I'm not convinced this is changing it. Okay. Now it's low. Hold on. All right. Is this higher right now? Yeah, but I've been noticing it being very loud on TikTok. I did notice that when I recorded earlier today. Now it's way up. Okay, now it's way up. Maybe it's this big dial. Okay. All right. Well, I'm putting it where it is right now. I don't know if this is a good setting or not. Actually, what about for YouTube and Discord? All right. Now let me just ask people right now how it sounds. Okay. Is it good? Is it low? Or is it high? Good, low, or high? I don't want to know anything else. Good, low, or high? La, la, la. Testing, testing, testing. A lot of goods, some low. Okay. That's not bad though. All right. Well, see, I'm still wondering if this thing changes or now I put it a little higher. All right. Now I put it a little bit higher. YouTube is not changing, but TikTok it is, which is interesting. All right. I put it a little higher. I don't know whether it's any better now. Sorry, guys, but this is worth it because most people are saying better. Still a little low. Let me try this. All right. I'm putting it here because I'm not convinced which dials actually work on my, what do you call the, my Focusrite. I've got a whole box I have to use for the microphone and everything else. Okay, this is better. So okay, so that big dial does work for this. Okay. Yeah, because I noticed when I recorded some TikToks earlier today, one of them was like really loud, and I was like, shit, my mic is too strong. But it keeps ugh. That's true. You know what? I will do that, Derek. I keep forgetting I have some old headphones that I don't use, but I keep forgetting I can use it for this purpose. Yeah. I don't really understand. You think it's treble and bass? Well, it's a Focusrite basically, and it's the two big buttons on the right, big button and smaller button. I have no idea what they do. I had no idea they were even working. I have a Scarlett. Exactly. Thank you, WC. Exactly. I have a good system. That's the problem. It's difficult to know. But I do notice sometimes that it's too loud. And I tried anyway, it's been turned down again. So we'll see how that is. But yeah, thank you for mentioning it. I also moved my mic a little further away. So hopefully that'll make a difference. All right, let's keep going here. So listen to this. So this is from The Economist. Kind of crazy, the new data on Russian casualties. Now, keep in mind, in military terms, when you say casualty, it means killed and or wounded. It doesn't necessarily mean killed. In civilian terms, we say casualty and we think of killed. We're going to talk about Ukraine figures in 1 second, Rob. Alexa, lower the temperature 1 degree. All right, that'll help. All right, The Economist. Russia has had as many as 1.3 million casualties in Ukraine. New data from The Economist shows that since the invasion began, between 900,000 and 1.3 million Russian troops have been killed or wounded. That includes as many as 350,000 deaths and a shocking 31,000 Russians killed just in the summer offensive so far. Summer's only been going on for a month and a half. 31,000 Russians killed. Ukraine's losses are also heavy, though lower, with estimates of 73,000 to 140,000 killed. Now, mind you, that's 350,000 Russians, 73 to 140,000 Ukrainians. Now, Ukraine is 1/3 the size of Russia, so it's a little, or even a little less than that. So Ukraine has had what, 1/4 to 1/2, 1/4 to maybe 25% to 40% of the deaths of what Russia has, but Ukraine is only maybe 30% of the size of Russia. So proportionally, Ukraine has had more deaths, but Russia has had far more deaths in terms of actual numbers. Also, Russia's advances, this is from The Economist, Russia's advances have not been good. Despite pouring men and weapons into the fight, Russia's gains remain tiny. Their summer offensive is clawing back only 15 square kilometers a day. That's the size of the Los Angeles airport. At that pace, it would take the Russians 89 years to conquer all of Ukraine. Even seizing the rest of the 4 regions Putin already claims, Luhansk, Donetsk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia, these are the provinces in eastern Ukraine that Russia claims are now part of Russia. They're not even entirely occupied by the Russians yet. Claiming all of those provinces would take until 2029. This is what's interesting with this, is as much as, and the Ukrainians are facing a lot of suffering, obviously, but the Russians, this is why I say the Russians aren't doing well. The Ukrainians aren't doing well in some ways, but the Russians are not doing well. They're in a quagmire. I mean, if people were to keep helping the Ukrainians would have to survive. I mean, this is not a good thing for their people to suffer, of course. But the Russians are not doing well with all of this either. Population of Russia is around 150 million. Ukraine's, I think, was 45 million before the war. Putin is hiring 10,000 to 15,000 new troops every month with big bonuses while Ukraine struggles with manpower. Anyway, just very interesting numbers, horrific numbers for Russia. Berlin is ready to purchase Patriot air defense systems from the United States and transfer them to Ukraine, the German chancellor said today. Thank you for the train there. Who is it? Haji? Oh, that's not Hajin. Hajin, follow me, though. Thank you for that. Mr. Turtle. Oh, Marsha. Thank you, Marsha. Speaking on the sidelines of the Ukraine Recovery Conference in Rome, the new German chancellor said he has asked Trump last week to supply Patriot missiles to Ukraine. We are also prepared to purchase additional Patriot systems from the U.S. to make them available to Ukraine, the German chancellor said. The Americans need some of them themselves, but they also have a lot of them. That was interesting. So, right, the Trump officials keep saying, oh, we need all these weapons for ourselves, blah, 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 blah. The German chancellor said the Americans need some of them themselves, but they also have a lot of them. That was basically saying the Trump officials aren't telling the truth. That, yeah, they need some of them, but they've got more than enough to spare, which I thought was very interesting. That's the assessment of the German government. Very interesting. And oh, that was it, actually. I thought I had an extra page. The extra page was blank. All right, that was it. All right, that's it for the news. Let's hang and talk, our usual. Just for fun, I am going to sit back. My back is good now, but when my back was being very bad, I used to have to like sit casually like this. Now I'm doing it just because I'm in the mood to relax a little today. So there we go. There we go. Oops. There we go. All right. So yes, let's hang and talk. The hand is good. The hand's been better the last couple of days. I went to the doctor today. He said it's healing well. You know, it's still basically, I've got another 3 to 4 weeks. I'm even he said to keep putting lotion on it, which I was doing anyway, but he said, keep doing it. It's got another 4 weeks of me every day moving it so the scar tissue doesn't form and I keep the mobility. Next week, I start massaging the scar because you want the scar to basically break up and go away. But it was good. It was very good. I didn't need to go to, I was just a little worried because no, it's healing perfectly. So knock on wood. Sasha did okay. The pills started to chill her out, which was good. After the show, she actually relaxed, which I was shocked. Absolutely relaxed. Absolutely shocked. I mean, relaxed that she relaxed. Exactly. So, he said, I didn't need physical therapy. No. I said, I really don't want it. I hate physical therapy. I think it's a joke, but you know, I said, tell me I don't need it. And he said, you don't need it. I said, okay. He had told me going in that there was he checked it out and he goes, I think there's a 50-50 chance that you're going to need physical therapy. But I went and I was doing my extra and I showed him, I said, I can close it all the way. I can open it all the way. There's a little bit of hugging. I said, that's because I've been practicing today. When I wake up in the morning, it does this and it does this. And he said, no, that's perfect. So he said 2 or 3 times a day. I was like, yay. He did say ice. He said no heat yet. So whoever had said that we should not be doing heat yet, he agreed. So sending American troops to Ukraine, Derek, the thing is, I don't know. I would not support sending American troops to fight in Ukraine. I would be very tempted to send American troops. Thank you, Yohani. Thank you, Carrie. Visionary as well. I keep the gifts coming, guys. Appreciate them. I would be very tempted to send U.S. troops as a peacekeepers. I would send them to the parts of Ukraine that aren't occupied by the Russians and say, yeah, we're sending NATO peacekeepers all over. I would have done it before the war started. Putin was moving hundreds of thousands of troops to the Ukrainian border. And he said, he's not invading. There's not going to be a war. I would have, again, I think Biden screwed up majorly here. I would have said, that's amazing. I am so excited that Vladimir Putin is not planning a war. He's simply moving his troops basically as peacekeepers, right, to the Russian side of the border to keep the peace. We're going to do the same thing. It's a great idea. Thank you, Vlad, for the idea. We're going to move NATO troops across Ukraine as peacekeepers. They're going to help guarantee that the Russians don't invade. They're going to help guarantee the Ukrainians don't do anything bad. And at the same time, you know, the Russians may say, oh, this risks war. No, it doesn't, because you just told us you're not planning on invading. If you're not, we know we're not planning on invading you. And if you're not planning on invading Ukraine, which you already said, there's no chance of a war. So this is great. We're going to have peacekeepers everywhere. But I would have absolutely called his bluff and said, peacekeepers, you're right. Perfect. So I still am not opposed to peacekeepers being sort of around Ukraine. It's risky, but we should have done it. We should have done it early on and said, oh, and by the way, if you do decide to attack Ukraine and our troops are there and you kill them, it's an act of war and we're going to war against you. I would have absolutely, yeah, Palestinian people, give it up, because I am going to, every single time you try to interrupt, by the way, the Palestinian activists are trying to interrupt the show again. Every time you try to interrupt the show, we're going to talk about the fact that Hamas is a terrorist group and you voted for a terrorist group that then attacked Israel, and that, perhaps you shouldn't elect terrorists to government, which Hamas is. Go check your history. So every time you try to interrupt the show, we're going to talk about Hamas being a terrorist group and the fact that they're your leaders and you voted for them. So keep interrupting my show. Like, you're not going to like what happens as a result. No, I get that. It's been a few. There's no way to turn it off. It's already turned off. It's already turned off, Tiger Eye. Somehow they keep getting through. I have no idea why. TikTok, the magic of TikTok. Yeah, no, they were turned off a while ago and it didn't really do anything. Actually, what's really annoying with TikTok is I have to get like 3 of them to bother me. And at the end of the show, TikTok goes, would you like to turn off the guests for the rest of the show? And I'm like, A, it's already turned off. B, you're asking me now? Yeah, I know. But I am telling you, I turned it off. And when I turn it off, it doesn't matter. It's possible TikTok turned it back on again. I never turned it back on. But knowing TikTok, every time I turn it off, it doesn't matter. Oh, the button's there again? Jesus Christ. Oh, I see what you're saying. They brought it back. Ugh. Let me turn it off. What the hell? Hang on. The only problem with TikTok too is figuring out. Oh, wait, maybe it's under the, I think it might be under the guest. Let's see. All right. Allow viewers to suggest creators. No. Turn off. Allow, see, but no, there's no other invitations. Allow invitations from friends. Allow invitations from people who aren't your friends. No, all of those were already turned off. Notify you creators you follow are live. I don't care. So supposedly allow viewers to, maybe it was viewers suggesting creators. Maybe that was it. Yeah, I don't know. This is TikTok. Who knows, right? Anyway, thank you for mentioning that, but who knows with TikTok, right? I mean, anyway, I have cleared TikTok cache before, but not recently. Anyway, TikTok, we don't know what's going on, right? M2, exactly. Supposedly, TikTok might be being sold to Oracle. We don't know for sure. Thank you for the gifts. Actually, Alexa, turn down the temperature 1 degree. Oh my gosh, you couldn't reach the internet. What do you mean you can't reach the internet? Oh God, Alexa can't reach the internet. Well, I've got news for you. I think the internet's working okay, because otherwise I wouldn't be streaming right now. All right, let me do this myself. Can't reach the internet. Unbelievable. Hold on here. All right, turning it down myself. There we go. All right, that should work. There we go. All right. Hate to admit it, but I think it would make sense to move at least some of the U.S. troops from Germany to Poland, because Germany is not the front line. That's correct. Yeah, Germany is not the front line. But yeah. Oh, excuse me. I don't know how much rain we got. We did have tornado warnings northeast DC, but not by me. I mean, not like it's very far. Would it be illegal if DOJ shredded or tossed those files? Maybe. It doesn't matter, of course, because they'll get away with it because we live in a lawless government now. But they might. It's very interesting. I mean, what's interesting to me is the, again, Trump supporters, he made a lot of, first of all, Trump promised to end all wars and then he declared war on Iran. Oops. Right? Oops. Those Middle East wars, you just can't get rid of them. It's just, and now the Epstein thing, it looks like the Trump people might have lied about. And today, Trump's head of the EPA, this is unbelievable. The head of the environmental protection, our environmental agency, he's a big Trump or big MAGA guy, which means he doesn't support the environment. He puts out a tweet endorsing the chemtrail conspiracy theory. It's this fake idea that airplanes kick out poison and stuff, that like the airplane, what do you call, not the exhaust, what do you call the condensation from the airplane when it flies over the really cool trail? Thank you, Marsha. That it's, the crazy people think it's a conspiracy. They think it's poison or something crazy coming out of the airplane. And everyone's like, no, that's called condensation. Well, the head of the Environmental Protection Agency just endorsed the conspiracy theory on Twitter today. Again, I'm a little afraid to talk about it because I don't even want to be getting into this stuff online. Other than making clear these are very untrue, these are very false, bad things that are being said. But the head of our environmental agency putting out conspiracies, that's very bad. That's really bad. I just can't even. Thank you, Mustard, for the rose. I just can't. Absolutely can't. Very bad. So anyway, Tennessee passed a law against chemtrail. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. Would not be surprised. I don't know if we're ever going to recover. I don't know. It's very bad. No, I mean, again, you sometimes wonder how our country has done so well because there's a decidedly anti-science, anti-facts, anti-intellectual. We've always had an anti-intellectual thing in the US, but not anti-facts. There is a part of the country that just doesn't believe in the truth anymore. And it's very scary. So, yeah, well, Tennessee, the Tennessee Republican Party is kind of famous for being quite extreme. So, to put it lightly. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you, Kumacho. Do remember we've got our show Saturday morning for the paid monthly subscribers. And you can support me by being a paid monthly subscriber as well. Remember that. Basically, it's like, I don't know, on TikTok, maybe it's $4.99 a month. Actually, YouTube, I may have created a $4.99 category as well, I think. It's not a lot. But when a bunch of you do it together, it helps because then it's like a little more guaranteed money each month. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Kumacho. So, yeah, very scary stuff. Oh, have a beer. I'm sorry. I've not been impressed by the PT I've had. I'm sure for some people it's great, but I feel like, lift your leg 10 times. I'm like, okay, I could do this by video. I don't need to come in for this, which, by the way, I keep forgetting. Remind me, maybe mods try to remind me. I feel like I'm doing my mother. I've got to remember tomorrow to call my physical therapy for my voice guy. I've got it sitting here and I keep forgetting to call him. So, Steven. See, Steven, you're getting blocked right now, but Steven's upset that I'm asking you for gifts. This reminds me of my mom, who's an artist, and she went to an art demonstration once. And the artist painted for the audience and then sold it or bid or whatever. And I don't know if it was $2,000 or whatever the art piece was. And somebody in the audience says, "You want me to pay $2,000 for a picture you drew in half an hour?" And he says, "Well, actually, Stephen, it took me half an hour to paint the picture and 20 years to learn how to paint the picture." So, yes, I am asking for your support because the analysis you're getting of the news in America comes from 40 years experience of working in politics in Washington, D.C. A law degree and a master's from Georgetown, lots of other work and lots of other study. So, yes, I do need your help because, and here's actually, I wrote a political blog. No, I bring it up because this isn't just about me. This is about in general. I think on the right, they get the idea of supporting creators. On the left or the middle, they don't. When I was writing a political blog, I had one of the biggest political blogs in the US. I was writing 14 hours a day. Literally, I would get up and start writing. And like Aaron does. Aaron, what's his name? Right? I'm forgetting his last name, Parnas. I would do what Aaron does. That's why I don't do what Aaron does, because I did it for so many years. I'm kind of tired of it. But literally 11 o'clock at night, midnight, there'd be a story and I would jump on my computer and write about it for people. I was so tired, but you have to feed the beast. And people would literally say to me, "You want me to pay you to write? You expect to get paid to write?" And at first I was kind of like, yes, I do. Wait, people who write don't deserve to be paid? Like, what are you talking about? But there's a weird, I don't know what it is. There's a weirdness about people earning an income doing, I don't know. I don't quite get it. I don't quite get it. But anyway, I mean, that guy's just being rude. We know that. But I think it's important to point it out because people don't seem to understand, like, if you're doing something for a living, you need to get paid. And if you think there's value there, help support them. So there. Anyway, the rest of you get that. I think it is. I think it's probably mean people, jealous. I think so too. I think like the one who was commenting on the blog was probably just somebody angry and jealous. Was like, why should I pay you to do work? Same reason we pay you to do work. Don't call me crazy, right? That's my guess. It's people who are just kind of angry. Yeah, but nonetheless, it's annoying. Anyway, all right. So what else? Oh, the Elton John. I do like those Elton John glasses. They're very cool. Thank you, Vernon. What else, guys? It's fun. I thought we had a lot of news today. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you, Paulie. Exactly. You love sending John. I love you sending John gifts, Michael. No, thank you. That's sweet of you to say. Again, you're right. It's probably people on the other side politically who get angry and they just feel the need to harass and be mean. Whatever. It's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but it's fine. The vacation. The vacation one is always interesting. The travel one, because it changes. Thank you, Adventures. Well, the end is always different. I don't remember if the middle is different because I've not seen that with the card. Doesn't look familiar. But the end postcard is always different. I mean, the Russian economy, here's the thing. Michael was asking, how long can the Russian economy last? The Soviet Union was a mess. It lasted 70 years. I mean, right? Like the Russians can hold out. Look at how, they've had 350,000 Russians killed in this war with Ukraine in only 3 months. But the Russian people aren't rising up. They have a very strong ability to basically weather really bad news. But again, so I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's well. Again, their economy was a mess during the Soviet years, and they held on. So, I fear they may be able to hold on a long time. That doesn't mean it's not hurting them. I do think it's a good lesson for the future. I will not get involved with the Russian economy in the future, although I'd be a little worried about it. I'd be a little worried about our economy too, to be honest. North Korea. Well, that's true. North Korea is a mess and survives. That's a good point, actually. The North Korean economy is truly a mess. Thank you, S. Lynn, for the coffee magic. And it survives. It's a dictatorship, but they hold it is a dictatorship. It's a brutal dictatorship, but they hold the country together. You can hold the country together a long time if you oppress the people and if the people don't want to rise up. The Russian people, I think, are a little bit of both. I remember you mentioning that, Chris. Let me try that. Alexa, remind me tomorrow at 10 a.m. to call the voice therapist. Oh, okay, good. Thank you. Although the volume is down on Alexa, I should probably raise my volume. She's going to talk and I'm not going to. There we go. Okay. She was whispering, so I'm like, I'm not going to hear her when she talks. I saw Cher say rise up. I'm saying talk up. Anyway, who really is buying TikTok? We don't know. It might be Oracle. We don't know. I didn't see that, Don. Trump's new bill that got passed allows jet owners to write off their jet in the first year. Oh, Jesus. Lovely. I did not see a new Civil War movie. I heard about a Civil War movie. That was a couple of months ago, wasn't it? I thought so. Wasn't that a couple months ago? Rob says, what do you think will happen if Trump and or Putin, let's just say, go away in office over the next year? Well, they're both old men. Wildly different. Putin, it's a dictatorship. So who the hell knows what happens in that sense, right? Can the next guy hold the country together? Will the next guy be as bad as Putin? Probably. Can he hold the country together? Who knows? So that gets interesting. Trump, the problem is J.D. Vance is just as bad as Trump. He's just as bad as Trump in every way. J.D. Vance is politically worse than Trump. Trump has a way of making people agree with him. J.D. Vance comes across as weird. What was the word that Tim Kaine used? Tim Kaine? What's his name? Was it Tim Kaine? I'm already forgetting his name. The guy who was the Kamala's VP. Was it weird? Was that the word? I'm forgetting the word he used for J.D. Vance. But it's true. He's weird. It's weird. It was weird. Tim Walz, Kane was Hillary's guy, right? Yeah, Walz. He is weird, and I think he comes across that way. And I don't know that he would do as well as Donald Trump does in terms of convincing people to go along with him and everything else. I don't know, but I do worry that, I don't know. I worry that well, I don't know. Trump's movement could also fall apart. You never know. It could totally fall apart. I mean, who knows? It would be nice if his movement fell apart. But I don't know that he's got because a lot of his, Trump's got, I think a lot of Republicans would be happy to move back to regular Republican politics again, is my suspicion, but a lot of them don't care at the same time. They're willing to embrace any crazy thing Trump does. So who knows, but yeah, I do think if Trump were to disappear eventually, because, why don't you can just contact me on TikTok. Just send me a TikTok message. I should see it. I mean, both parties, I agree with both parties coming back to the middle. The thing is, the crazies don't run the Democratic Party. I think there's a left wing to the Democratic Party that I don't agree with, right? But on the Republican side, the wing runs the party, and the Democratic side, the wing does not run the party. So will Elon succeed in making a new political party? Typically, it doesn't work in America. What Elon can succeed in doing is, third parties don't really work. He could succeed in influencing some races. He didn't in Wisconsin, the Supreme Court race. But if you spend a lot of money, if you send a lot of money into a race, spend a lot of money on ads and stuff, you can influence the race. So he could have impact in that way. I don't think he's going to have impact as a third party. I don't think so. WC, I don't recall what somebody just said that you're responding to. That's funny. I just don't remember what they were saying, but I see whatever you wrote. Yeah. What do I think upsets Trump the most? Things he perceives as a personal slight, right? I suspect Trump has, it's funny. He's clearly accomplished much in some ways. I suspect he's got a major inferiority complex, so that, or never, not inferiority. What do you call it when, maybe it is inferior. What do you call it when everything people say you think is criticizing you, but it's also so it's a little paranoia, but it's also you have low self-esteem, so that you're insecure. Exactly. Insecure. You're insecure about yourself. You question whether you're really that good. So you think people are criticizing you, but you also think you're maybe not that good. Right. And I think that's imposter syndrome. It's a lot of that kind of stuff, I think, with Trump, the voice in the show in Swiss. Which Swiss? What do you mean in Swiss? Why, you think Swiss languages are harsh? I've heard Swiss German. It sounds kind of nice. Swiss French I've heard too. It was cute. I think of Swiss as being a little more of a mellow languages. Who are you responding to, Emil? Kerr? I don't remember. I just remember Grüezi, which was cute when I was in Lausanne. Walking by people, we were hiking through the mountains there. Grüezi. Oh. Who's going to run against Vance? I don't know. I just don't know. Well, from what I heard of Swiss, again, I don't speak German, but I thought Swiss German sounded much more mellow than German. I thought, from what I could hear. The Swiss French, I just don't remember enough now. I remember the words being funny, just because, I was on the train, the TGV, on the way to Geneva, and I remember once, the conductor, maybe when we crossed the border, the conductors changed. I think I vaguely remember something like this, like they switch teams of who's working on the train, and the conductor came by, and for whatever reason, I don't know what he was talking about, but the number 90 came up, and I remember him saying "nonant" to me, and I kind of laughed. Or I said, "Ah oui, nonant." It was very funny for 90, and it's not wrong, right? Or 80. I forgot about 80. 67. 80. 90 was the one I remember because he even said 90. And I was like, oh, that's cute. The voice is hanging in there. I did go to the doctor. He said he's seeing irritation. He thinks it's GERD. He did give me some stuff to drink at night that honestly almost made me sick last night. So I'm going to try it again tonight, but it literally made me a bit queasy, which I was not happy about. So we'll see. But supposedly can help with like overnight, which I'm going to try it, but it was really kind of gross. It's like an antacid, but the antacid to help for GERD makes you feel like that doesn't seem helpful, but who knows? Anyway, I don't think it stormed all night. The dog did okay. She's sleeping now on the couch. I'm not going to take that bait, Luna. Good try though. French is great. I do think French is a beautiful language. I do elevate my head while I sleep. I've even got the bed up about 6 inches at the front of the bed, and I use pillows. I do it all. I do it all. And I've been elevating my hand because of the surgery. I feel like what do they call them? The wraith. I feel like a wraith with my slit in my hand. It's like 99. It is 99, but it would be 99, I guess. 99, if you're Swiss, I guess. Yeah, no. I'm actually looking forward. And actually, the first meeting with the voice therapy guy has to be in person, but the rest of them can be on camera. And I was like, yes. So I just have to call him and set it up. So, well, the water thing is interesting for GERD because I got heartburn this afternoon because I made a fruit drink, and because I drank it in some water, I had extra, and because I've been trying to drink more water because you're supposed to drink more water. When I drink too much water, it gives me heartburn. So like, I'm in this weird catch-22. Italian is beautiful. Yeah. I've always thought Italian's beautiful. Yes. So, anyway, excuse me. But the weather at least is a little nicer. I was able to take the dog for a good walk today. Thank God. It was like 80 and normal. Haven't had that in a long time. Gallbladder. No, nothing with the gallbladder. Celery helps heartburn. Interesting. The language of romance is Jobin, you will marry me. What is Protonics? Or is Protonics what I'm already taking? Well, here's the problem. I'm taking the Gaviscon. The problem is it's the wrong one, I think. My doctor said, take the Gaviscon. It's got the seaweed, ChatGPT goes, and I Googled, and ChatGPT is right. The British Gaviscon is the one that has all the seaweed. The American one has a little bit of seaweed. The British one has a lot. So I looked, there's like an expensive, like twice the price British one you can find online. I was a little nervous because this one tastes so bad. I'm a little afraid of buying the one. It's like 50 or it's like $60 for 2 bottles, but it ends up being $20 a month instead of $10 a month. I may get it anyway to try it, but this one is so bad that I bought. I'm not sure I want to spend $60 on something that tastes that bad, but but the American Gaviscon isn't the same as the British one. The British one has more of that alginate or whatever the seaweed substance is, but I may buy it anyway. I think Protonics is the, I'm forgetting what it's called. I'm on it already. Yeah. It's not really working. No. The British one tastes bad. Oh no. Oh no. Because the American one I had, and literally I was like sitting in bed going, okay, this is gross. I literally feel a little oozy, Celery. Interesting. I never thought of celery as helping with heartburn. Huh. Interesting. Plug your nose and chew it. Yeah. Well, no, celery is fine. I don't taste of celery is okay. Yeah, there's an anise flavored one. Yes. Yes. Um, no, I may buy the British one anyway because that's the one that has the good stuff that it helps. So, and it's green veggies, it's green algae. How can that be wrong? Right? Dairy. Oh, I'm not giving up dairy. I don't want to give up dairy. I don't want to give up dairy. Um, anyway. Anyway. What else? What else? What else? Oh, I thought you on it, you all today. Actually, I met a very nice woman online who last night on Facebook who is going to help me try to get my mom's Greek birth certificate, which was very sweet of her in one of the Facebook groups. I do use the baking soda, but very sweet. She's like, I'll go. She's in Greece for the moment, a couple months, and born in Greece, lived in America a long time too. And she goes, I'll go. I said, are you kidding? I said, are you serious? Because she goes, I'm totally serious. She goes, I'm bored. I got a couple months left. And the funny part was, I said, I mean, she's done this before. She's dealt with these it's basically the local city. And my mom's birth certificate, we know the city it's in, but my mom's birth certificate is probably still in the old books in the back room because mom was born in 1929 in a village in Greece. And we've got a copy of her birth certificate, but we need a new one. And I guarantee you it's still buried in the book. And the functionaries don't like to go do it because they're busy. They don't want to go through the old. No, I think it'd be fun to go through the old books personally. I'd be like, that's fun. Well, this woman she goes, I love that stuff. And I said, wait, you think they're going to let you go through the book? She goes, I know they will. They've done it before. I'm like, okay. And she goes, and the best part was I said, are you not like worried they're going to give you a hard time? She goes, I love it when they give me a hard time. And then I get to argue with them. She goes, I win. I was like, you go, girl. You like arguing with Greek government bureaucrats who say no? Like you go. So we're going to see. We're going to see. I mean, she's authorized by me. This is also Greece. So, you are Greek fallen. Yeah. Yeah. I still think I'm going to give her a letter from me, which a good thing you reminded me. I'm going to write her a letter anyway. There's a legal procedure. Well, I'm happy to do the legal procedure too. Do I have to go to court or is it a matter of writing the document the right way? Because I will tell you this. My mom's, I can get it notarized, American notarized. Should I do that? Just get a statement that I've written, an affidavit or not affidavit, but a statement. I guess it would be an affidavit and say, I give this person permission to blah, 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 blah. And have it notarized American. So at least it looks a Greek consulate that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Yeah. The Greek consulate is so busy. That's never going to happen. Yeah. And the Greek police, I'm not with the Greek. I'm in America. So I'm thinking now though, of maybe doing an American document that I get notarized. So she's at least got a document that is signed by, it's got well, again, France, I think likes these kind of things. Was it France or where? Where was it? Was it France? Somebody was telling me, and they were telling me about how, the local officials love seals. You always get a document that has lots of stamps on it, lots of seals. And and my friend actually, who's the notary, has one of the gold notary, like the notary stickers that are really pretty. But I'm thinking of maybe doing that. I may do that just because at least it's one extra document for her to go, look, he's got a legal document he gave me with his name that's been notarized. You know what I mean? What else do you do? There's only so much you can do, But I did find one of the other towns sent me my grandfather's birth certificate, marriage, our birth, family registry, military registry, whatever. But I emailed them and I included mom's birth certificate, my birth certificate, a copy of mom's Greek birth certificate. But I basically included all of it, and they considered it sufficient to believe that I was who I said I was. And they emailed me the documents back. So I think it's very much depends on which town. I cannot get an apostille from the Greek embassy. These people are overworked. There is no way in a million years that the Greek embassy is going to see me anytime before October to get an apostille. That's the problem. There's no way. You can't get a hold of them. I mean, they're trying to help me on the citizenship stuff. Even that has been emailing and hearing back 6 weeks later. They are so overworked. There's no way. I don't mean to be negative, but I'm just telling you, like, it reminds me of, because it reminds, well, but it reminds me of on these forums I'm on Facebook, I have these questions and people are saying, just ask the consulate. And I'm like, guys, the consulate is very busy. You can't just ask the consulate questions. It doesn't work that way. So that's the problem. Yeah. Yeah, it's never going to happen, Dario. Yeah, it's not going to be translated and notarized by government officials. I'm going to see what she can do. Worst comes to worst, which she said to me, worst comes to worst, she said, if she can at least find the document, if I can have one of my family members go. I've got an aunt who lives 45 minutes away. She's old, but she could go. She has the same last name as my mother, which is good, because that way they can literally show they're a relative with the same last name. That would be if I have to, that would work. So let's see. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. Samaya. Yeah. These guys are clearly overworked with people that you can't just say, hey, I got a question. Could I get this? You just have to kind of hope the local officials are being nice that day. But worst come to worst, like I said, if I've got to use my aunt, I will, but I still feel like an American document wouldn't be the worst thing ever. It's not a Greek document, but it still is a letter from the individual. You know what I mean? I mean, I told her too, she doesn't want them, but I said, I'll send you my birth certificate, mom's, I'll send you the records if you want, besides mom's. But she doesn't think she'll need them. I was like, all right, let's see. So we shall see. Yeah. So Michelle saying son's Italian passport. A friend of mine was talking to some other friend who got an Italian one, and they said, how long did it take? My sister, I think, and she said, oh, how long did it take? And he said, not that long. It was about 4 years. I've been, oops, where did that go? Oh my. But I've been doing this since 2011. So I think I have the record. Anyway, we will persevere though. Yeah. I don't know if they're going to let her do it, or I hope they will. I still think I am going to do, well, it's been literally since I'm trying to get the Greek passport or Greek citizenship, but what has been difficult is, that it's not easy to, getting all the details on the process is not easy. And for example, even in Greece, we were told by all the local governments that they had no information on my mom or any of my grandparents. And I'm like, you have no records. I mean, my entire family is from Greece going back. We trace the family tree to the 1700s, at least the 1700s, right? And I'm like, you have no records at all in any of the 4 cities on any of my 4 grandparents at all? Come on. Come on, right? Give me a break. And it made me suspicious. Well, but once that happened, it was like, what do you do? What I should have done is hired a lawyer to go, or hired a lawyer and gone with them to the cities. Because what happened was 2 months ago, I'll tell you guys the story again. A friend of mine, the issue now, I mean, the Avolizi, Zevkolaccio, like little villages and things. Kalamata is the big one we're working on now. But 2 months ago, a friend of mine in the American friend says, why don't you just Google like email addresses and email the cities yourself, trying to get the family information? And I said, you've got to be kidding. He's try it. I said, okay. So I find emails for a couple different cities, email them. Nobody responds. But what happens? A week later, my grandfather's village writes back. It's not a village. It's a town, but it's a town of 40,000 people. Writes back and says, oh, we don't have any information on your mom, but we've got all of your grandfather's information. And I wrote her back and I said, is there any way I can get that information because I'm applying for the citizenship, but I wasn't sure like how to get it. And I didn't want to say, could you mail it to me? She sends me by email 3 PDF files of notarized copies. So she printed them out, the documents, printed them out for me, notarized them, got the mayor to sign them, of my grandfather's birth certificate, his military registration, mail registration, and his family registry, which was very important. I couldn't believe this woman did it for me by email. And again, a Greek government official. It was in a village, just shockingly generous of this woman. So that was a surprise and incredibly sweet, which was great. So, you know, you don't know sometimes, but I mean, I stumbled across a great person, but it took 14 years to stumble across a great person. But the funny part though, is because she found those documents, suddenly my citizenship application became real again, because those were the documents we couldn't find. So suddenly it became I mean, this was huge what she found. So, you know, but anyway, I need a new copy of mom's birth certificate. Well, probably. And I probably need a new copy of my grandparents' marriage certificate. Probably. It's complicated, right? So anyway, but I am determined to get this damn passport if it kills me. I've even looked at you Europeans, the taxes you pay. Oh my God. I was like, I mean, it's shocking. Taxes in Europe compared to America is absolutely shocking. I had no idea it was that high. I mean, I knew you guys paid more, but I was looking at Greece, for example. And if I were to move to Greece and I thought, you know, like, what if I go when I'm 65 or 66, whatever, and I go like to retire and I move there, but I was like, what if I'm still doing this kind of work and I keep doing it on the side, you know, so not retired fully, but retired a lot. And I thought, okay, so listen to this. I thought, what if I just do, if I try to make $20,000 a year of extra money, not a full salary, because I need to make much more than that to pay my mortgage and everything else, right? So I thought, what if I make $20,000 a year? And I plugged it in to calculate what I would be paying in taxes. And the amount of taxes I'd be paying between the US and Greece, but most of it's Greece. If I make only 20,000, now Americans know if it's only 20,000, well, I'll tell you right now, if I only make 20,000 in America, my taxes would be around $2,000 and it would be Social Security tax. I wouldn't pay tax, there'd be no other tax because with deductions, I'd have no income. So I would pay $2,000 in Social Security tax. The Greeks would be $8,000 in tax on 20,000, only 20,000 income. I'd pay $8,000. So my total tax on 20,000 would be $10,000. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? If I only made 20,000 a year to make some supplemental income, I would lose half of it to taxes. I mean, it's like a Republican argument about not doing the work because there's so many taxes. But I was like, half the money. Thank you, Kathy, by the way. Half the money gone in taxes. Now, 20% of it's to America, 80% of it's to Greece. But oh my God, wow, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. So I have a feeling if I were to go, if I go to Greece, I think I'm going to be truly retired. No, the problem is the self-employment tax is huge in Greece. Your Social Security in Greece, if you're a self-employed, you've got to pay like 28% or more tax for Social Security, 28%. And that doesn't include taxes. The tax scale is huge in Greece as well. But that's just the Social Security tax, the pension tax. You do not get healthcare. I don't think so. You've got to have your own healthcare plan. Possibly after 5 years, you could apply for state healthcare, maybe. Now, mind you, healthcare is going to be cheaper in Greece. I'd have to have an international plan for probably $1,000 a year or something is my guess. So, you know, there are costs to doing it. Then again, you know, I could be living in Washington, D.C., or I could be living in Greece. So, you know, there's that, right? But yes, I could be totally exempt from Greek. Well, no, from what I read, well, that's a good question, whether I would have to pay them. ChatGPT suggested I would have to pay them. But you're right. If I don't, expect to get them, do I have to pay into them in Greece? I don't know. That's a good question, actually. You're right. Right. I don't know. So who knows, you know? Anyway, we shall see. We shall see. I want my damn passport. But actually, the other anyway, it's just very frustrating, like I said, because what I want to do, I told you this, I want to like, I doubt they'll accept my help. I want to go and like help the Greeks when I'm done and tell them like, I would like to help you for free, figure out a way to make this easier for people. You know, there is a tax treaty, but it depends whether it covers what we just talked about. But there is a tax treaty, yes. It depends what you mean by getting public health care. In Greece, I don't think you get the public insurance. Obviously, you can go into a hospital, but you're going to pay. It's not free. I don't think it's free in Greece anyway. Fallen, you're still here. How does it work in Greece for Greeks? All right, Fallen was here. I don't know if he still is. It is late in Greece right now. Actually, it's very late. It's like 2 a.m. I hope you're not still here. Oh, Dario said, after 3 months, you get healthcare. Oh, that's interesting. Really? Interesting. So after 3 months. What does that mean to get healthcare? What does it actually mean? Just curious. I mean, I'll look into this anyway, but I'm just curious. Meaning you're on the state system, like it's health insurance, so to speak, where you get reimbursed or whatever, or I can ask my ChatGPT as well. It's often right. It's not always right, but it's often right. Now you got me curious again. If I get a Greek passport and move to Greece as a retiree on pension or whatever, how does healthcare work in terms of the Greek healthcare system? Let's see what it says. I mean, I don't disbelieve you, but I'm curious what this tells me. Now, this doesn't mean it's good. ChatGPT is not always right. Insured. Oh, interesting. If you obtain a Greek passport, you'll be treated just like any other Greek, eligible for universal public health care with no special hoops. Full access as a citizen. With Greek citizenship, you'll qualify for ESY, Greece's national health system, offering outpatient care, specialist visits, hospital labs, blah, blah, blah. You need the social security number, issued at a KEP, okay. Most services are free or low cost, funded via taxation and social contributions. Small copays, 20 euros for a doctor visit without an appointment. Yes. Private insurance, that's still pretty cheap. Many retirees opt for private or international health plans to shorten wait times and gain English-speaking services. Private plans typically cost $1,500 to $3,000 a year for good coverage. $3,000 a year would be $250 a month. I laugh because, like, I'm paying $1,500 a month. Paying $250 a month, I'd be like, that's not bad. Yeah, the international plans. 90 days. It's exactly what you just said. EU pensioners. If you're already an EU citizen and moved to Greece as a retiree, you can use to access ESY for up to 90 days. Interesting. Okay. Oh, that's pretty good actually. But people still get the other insurance because they want the better coverage. So they'll get the international plans. Let me just look here. I'd have to Google and see what people. This is, I think, a. Wow. Just see here. Yeah, dual citizens can get AMKA, opening up basic coverage. If your coverage is basic, additional fees, big deal. Does Medicare? I doubt it. Medicare will not cover you outside of the U.S. We know that. If you're overseas as a short-term traveler, you may purchase Medigap. Oh, the international plans, right? Yeah, I'd have to look. Anyway, it's something I would look at. But I know people get these international healthcare plans that are whatever they cost. Interesting. Huh. Well, I mean, look, I don't know how good the Greek healthcare system is. That's the only question. You know what I mean? I mean, our healthcare system can be very good here. It's just very expensive. That's the only thing that worries me a little bit, like, and as you're getting older, like I'm going to be in my 70s, it worries me a little bit, about, I just don't know. Is it it is very good. Okay. Fallen, but is it outside of Athens? Is it very good? Isn't Perplexity the communist one? Or no, that's not the Chinese one. I will not use the Chinese one. Anyway, but yeah, no, well, I mean, if I live there, I don't have a choice anyway about the healthcare, but it's okay. Okay. Anyway, we shall see. I mean, it's not a deal killer. I'd go anyway. Like, what do Greeks do? If Greeks sort of, I mean, well, I guess if you've got anything a little complicated, maybe you go to Athens, or what do you do? I mean, I don't want to waste time talking with you guys now. Actually, and we're going over. This is the part of the show I usually like to stop to protect my voice. We can talk another time. But just curious. Or do you go to France? I mean, I guess, like here, I live in Washington, D.C., so there's good specialists here. I had a scare many years ago and went to New York and Chicago to see specialists, which I could do, which is nice because we're a big country, we have more than one. The United States is unique that way, that we have more than one center of power. Whereas like in France, it's Paris, but interesting. But life expectancy gets a little complicated. I've always wondered about U.S. life expectancy because we have lots of minority communities that have been oppressed for a while. And I wonder how those skew life expectancy results. You know what I mean? Like that might not be my life expectancy. If you're looking at an average American life expectancy, I'm not an average American. So it doesn't really, the average numbers don't tell me enough, Messenia. Yeah, no, Messenia. I don't think I'm going to go live in Kalamata. I'd probably go live on an island. My nephew wants to go live in Chania in Crete. Was record keeping in Greece affected by the world wars? I don't know. I was told by somebody the other day that the record keeping in Peloponnesos, where I'm from, is actually quite good because they overthrew the Turks early. We overthrew the Turks, 1821 or whatever. I'm trying to think when we declared war. I think it was 1821 when we declared the war, versus northern Greece being liberated much later. So somebody explained to me that they said that's why the records are in fact much better in southern Greece because we were free. So who knows, Anyway, small islands, yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. I agree with you. That's the thing. Like, I just, it's, I do not want to regret staying here. I mean, I've already stayed in the city too long, but we'll see. Anyway, all right, guys, I'm going to sign off. Since we've been going for a little over my usual time, I don't want to ruin although the voice has been good. Greek Americans live to be 90. I will say, like, my grandparents, I mean, the one grandfather kind of killed him in the hospital, so that doesn't count. But, my dad was 87. Mom was 94. Grandma was 94, I think. Grandfather was 92. Other grandma might have been a little younger, in her 80s. But, like, on mom's side, they're all ancient, like going back hundreds of years. Dad's side, a little more normal. But dad's side is more like the 80s. Mom's side is the 90s. So, who knows? Knock on wood. But mom's side is famous for living till their 90s. Doesn't mean your body doesn't hold out very well at that point, but still, you do what you can. So anyway, all right, guys, I'm going to sign off. Like I said, I don't want to go too long with my voice tonight. We've gone pretty late. So thank you for joining. Remember, we've got the turning 80 this month. Woo-woo. We've got Coffee Talk Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern for all the monthly subscribers. Okay, bye Marie, bye Amanda. So make sure you join us for that. And otherwise, thank you for joining us tonight. Dorenich, Kalinitasas, exactly. All right, YouTube, have a good night. And TikTok, you're next. Oop, the